Now, those of us who are actually problem solvers, we know that you must find the root cause to solve a problem. Now, what was the root cause of the Charlie Hebdo attacks and the Barbes attack in North Paris? Well, whether the government did it themselves, and it's a false flag, which is possible, or perhaps the more likely option that these are extremists who are mad at Western extremism. Bear with me now and listen very carefully. In fact, I will give $10,000 to anyone who can disprove this definitively. Western extremism has spawned psychiatry and other dastardly pseudosciences that are very offensive to religious people. Regular religious people are pushed toward extremism. They have even said, with Oxford feminists and other people, that they intend to drug religious fundamentalists in the future. Not just Muslims, but Christians and Jews. You see, Western culture pushes the principles of Luciferianism, which is basically selfishness, materialism, and using Lucifer as a mascot or an idol. There's also criminality, organized crime, white-collar crime. The West has a lot bigger human trafficking rings than ISIS does. We push LGBT philosophies or homosexuality on people whose religion forbids it, and they lash out. We push feminism on religions that are patriarchal or, paternal. Their lines pass from father to father, their inheritance, their rights. And there's nothing wrong with that. In the West, we say, who are we to judge one culture over another while we force our cultures on other societies? We do not allow them to have a fair political process because those candidates who do not promote Western values do not get the funding from Western countries and from their comprador elite or their neo-colonialists who make companies, pharmaceutical companies, McDonald's, technology companies, infrastructure companies, oil companies. They do not get a fair shake. And this is one of the side effects of that imperialism. We all know about the lies about WMDs and the invasion of Iraq and how Saddam's special forces basically morphed into ISIS. And Baghdadi making the claim that he is related to Muhammad or descended from Muhammad made it easy for ISIS to recruit all over the world. In over 100 countries, I believe, all over the world. We pretend that a peasant from an underdeveloped country could make this powerful group, this massive conspiracy, but yet there is no conspiracy in America. We persecute political dissidents in America and play them out as crazy. If we could have played out Snowden as crazy and sent him to the psych ward, we would have. As we do thousands of Americans every day. And you never hear this in the news. How mental health, the military, the pharmaceutical sector, the intelligence agencies, the corrupt police, even gang members, all people in charge of social controls in their various forms, come together with universities and civilians recruits, even organized crime, to harass political dissidents. Sometimes they murder them. Quite often they rape them in prison, in psych wards, in institutions. We hear about roofies and Mickeys, and we have all kinds of slang terms for drugs, for date rape drugs, because that is part of Western culture. Oppression is part of Western culture. Maintaining a facade and doing things under the guise of democracy are all part of Western culture. So then why do we pretend that we are any better than they are? One person died in this attack, screaming Allahu Akbar. 500,000 people die annually in Western countries alone from psychiatry, while the psychiatrists scream for more funds, more legislation. We want to take gun rights away from political dissidents under the guise that they are mentally ill. Smoke and mirrors, lies, propaganda has been made illegal so that we can further our cultural imperialism. America is one of the most hegemonic countries in the world. The UK and Israel are not far behind. The real threat we are facing is from within, not from the outside. We have the most corrupt politicians. We have the most aggressive military. We have weapons of mass destruction. And we cry about not wanting Iran and other nations to obtain them. Do you think it was a coincidence that bin Laden supposedly was hiding in one of the few countries in the world that is allowed to have nuclear weapons, Pakistan? No, it is not. Of course, we are in collusion with every nuclear power on the face of this earth. Every day in America, political dissidents are covertly drugged, raped, and harassed, and you never hear that side of the story. Perhaps you should look it up sometime. And there is this massive disinformation campaign on social media. And every once in a while you see it on shows such as Dr. Phil. But you never hear a reasonable man such as myself presenting concise, coherent, logical arguments as to how this is not just going on, but what you would expect. This is the nation of MK Ultra. We use psychology and psychologists to develop waterboarding techniques. The military has an oath to protect America from enemies, foreign and domestic. So of course we are torturing people domestically and abroad as well. I urge you all to consider, is it our lack of morality? Is it the decline of morality that created ISIS? Or was it just a random chain of events that created this extremist organization? And if we are the root cause of these problems all over the world, is not part of the solution to address corruption, the endemic corruption in Western countries, in colonial powers, in institutions of repression, oppression, and suppression? America is the land of the secret government, and therefore we are not as righteous as ISIS because they openly state what they are doing and what they believe. We do not. We covertly do everything. Covert drugging, covert assassination, covert puppets. Even JFK warned us of secret oaths, secret societies, secret governments. Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex, but America did not listen. Instead, we let secret societies run the military-industrial complex, the pharmaceutical sector, and every other sector of importance. Every single famous person either is complicit or directly controlled. We have been controlled by controlled opposition for too long, and it is time that we do something about that. I am the top martial artist in America. I have a $3,000 challenge that has received over 500,000 views, ironically, when you add up all the sites and all the videos that I stated on. Anyone can accept this challenge. You get $25 to show. And instead of being treated fairly, I am being persecuted for my political views, for saying things similar to what I have stated in this video for over 6 years on YouTube alone. Thank you. What is the nature of a threat? Is a threat coming from the foot soldier? Is it coming from the general, the president? Or perhaps it is coming from the people behind the scenes, the man behind the curtain, if you will, or the men. I have been persecuted all my life by the American government because I am a nonconformist black man. I have songs from when I was 15 years old saying, quote unquote, the white man will never conform. Yes, it is true. There are whites and white Jews who seek to conform and oppress, and they have an agenda. They have a long-term agenda. It has been explained to me that, workers might think paycheck to paycheck. Managers might think month to month. Then as you go higher up and higher up, people think more and more long-term. Investors think long-term. These people have an agenda that is long-term. And of course, they adjust it from time to time. And of course, they have invested tons and tons of money. The richest people on the planet have invested billions of dollars, perhaps trillions collectively, into their long-term agenda of globalization. And all of you pretend that our problems are a few terrorists. We have always been terrorized by the status quo, the autocrats, the aristocracy. Always. They say, do what we tell you, or else. Or else you will be covertly drugged, you will be forced medicated, they will have temporary conservatorships. They wish to put political dissidents such as myself in institutions for talking truth in a world of madness. They say you are mad when you tell the truth in a world of madness. Nothing I have ever said has ever been wrong. I've offered $1,000 to anyone who can disprove any key point in over 3,000 videos, and they were unable. Their inability to disprove my points while they are trying to medicate me shows you the nature of this criminal conspiracy. What does the government, the mental health sector, the richest people, organized crime, gang members, law enforcement, intelligence agencies, and so on have in common? Well, they are control freaks, and they are criminals. The law is criminal, so therefore anyone who enforces it is a criminal. They're criminals. Look at the instance of rape in the military. There is a huge problem with homosexual rape in the military. Huge problem with rape in the military. Huge problem with rape in mental health institutions and by mental health staff who have identified vulnerable individuals. Ask yourself, what type of person would want to work in a psych ward? Either somebody who really wants to help people and isn't too bright, isn't smart enough to know that psychiatry is a sick joke. That's why we call them shrinks, because they used to give people lobotomies and they still put electrodes on people's brains and do quote-unquote electroshock therapy. If they were to say that rape is therapeutic, the government would allow it. That is how sick and powerful these people are. And of course, we see rectal feeding in, Guantanamo Bay, right? We have cases of that, which is basically, we'll look it up. It's disgusting. It is sick. It is something a gay person can come up with. Speaking of things that a gay person can come up with, look up the gay bomb. They literally wanted to bomb targeted populations and enemy groups and use chemicals to make them feel gay as a weapon. And how sick is that? You have to wonder, who are the bad guys? The only good guys are uncontrolled opposition such as myself. America is not good. ISIS, is not a good organization. They're not good people. Just because you have the option to sell sex slaves in your religion, perhaps, doesn't mean you should. They're not good people. But sadly enough, they are more righteous than America because they are true to what they say. America never has been. Look at the Native American Holocaust. Look at how we turn a blind eye. 6 million sub-Saharan Africans die of communicable diseases or infectious diseases every year. That's 1 million more people than they claim died in the Holocaust, and the Jews that died in the Holocaust. Do we do anything about it? No. Because we are murderers. Our inaction leads to murder. Our indifference leads to oppression, murder, forced medication, covert drugging. Look, at the drugs are in our water. Because of the aggressive pharmaceutical agenda, there are drugs in the water, the drinking water in America. In almost every major city, there are significant amounts of psychiatric drugs in the water. Because the pharmaceutical sector knew that some people would flush their drugs, that people excrete their drugs, and they are unable to scrub it out at the water companies, nor have they made a great effort to do so, because they want us all drugged up. And look at the side effects. Look, my friends, look, this is not just me saying this, okay? This is one of the most commonly prescribed drugs, Depakote, aka Divalproex sodium. These are the side effects. 4 pages of side effects, 4 pages. Some of these occur as often as 20% of the time. And the ones that are highlighted are the ones that affect my martial arts alone. This is part of what's in your water. Confusion, difficulty breathing, joint pain, muscle pain, nausea, rapid weight gain, shakiness, trembleness, absence and decrease in body movement, blurred vision, clumsiness, change in walk and balance, irregular heartbeat, loss of strength or energy, muscle pain or stiffness, on and on, disgusting ones. You know, just look them up. There are disgusting side effects, and they all help their population control agenda as well. Because when you have disgusting side effects, just from taking a shower, just from, making tea with the tap water or whatever you do with it, people are less likely to date you, and you are more likely to go to the most profitable industry for quote-unquote treatment, which is really mistreatment. They don't care about you. They put profits over patients. Just Google it. Profits over patients. You'll get a lot of hits. You'll get Kaiser, and Kaiser, the protests of their own nurses protested, saying they're putting profit over patients. And so what do you think mental health does? If that's what, heart surgeons do and the emergency room does, what do you think mental health does? Of course, they put profit over patients. 9 out of 10 pharmaceutical companies spend more on marketing than research. And the drinking water is drugged as a result. Look at all the lawsuits. Eli Lilly, Pfizer, Abbott, tons of lawsuits that they settled for sometimes billions of dollars. And they just keep going, just like the bankers. We hear a lot of people complaining about the bankers who funded these pharmaceutical companies, no doubt. Where is the moral outrage against the pharmaceutical sector, who are drugging us retarded, whether or not we see a shrink, whether or not we are involuntarily admitted into the psych ward? And you know what their answer is to these powerful points? That I should be drugged because I'm paranoid. That is their answer to this powerful argument, because they lack the moral compass and the moral will to do the right thing. And there are tons of more problems that come with Western cultural imperialism, why they scream how superior their culture of secret manipulation, covert drugging, date rape in fraternities, date rape in the military, date rape rampant everywhere. They scream that their culture is superior when it was built from the cults of Rome, Greece, Sumer, and Babylon, and the Freemasonic groups that came from the UK, which was such a big empire, they said the sun never set on the British Empire. I could go on and on. I'll give you links that continue my arguments. I am the top martial artist in America, and I am being persecuted for my political views by the scum of this land, the same sissies, the same wussies, the same candy-ass weaklings who cannot defeat me in the ring. This is the land of the cowardly hounds. Thank you.
And hate. Hey, shut up!
It's only ladies, madam. Slow ladies will must fight back.
Spaghetti. Spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti.